I haven't heard a pressure cooker whistle in 3 years. That sound used to mean dinner was almost ready. It meant my mother was in the kitchen, and I was safe, and the world was exactly where it should be. Here in America, I use a regular pot. It takes longer, it's quieter, and every single time I make dal, I feel that absence. There are so many things like that now. Small things that I didn't think mattered until they were gone. The rain sounds different here. In India, during the monsoon season, the rain does not just fall. It announces itself. It drums on tin roofs with such force that you have to raise your voice to be heard. It floods the streets and makes the whole world smell like wet earth. There is a word for that smell. Petrichor. Even petrichor does not capture what it actually feels like when the first monsoon rain hits dry ground after months of brutal summer heat. Here in America, the rain is polite. It drizzles, it mists, it dampens things quietly. I stand at my window sometimes and watch it, and I remember what it felt like to get completely drenched running home from school. My shoes would squelch with water, and my mother would scold me for not carrying an umbrella, even though we both knew umbrellas were useless in that kind of rain. I miss the chaos of Indian streets. The traffic, the noise, the vendors yelling, the auto rickshaws honking. Now I walk through these American suburbs and everything is so orderly, so quiet. I find myself wanting to hear someone shouting about fresh coriander or arguing over the price of mangoes. There is a grocery store near my apartment, and it is fine. Clean, organized, temperature controlled. But nobody haggles. Nobody treats shopping like a conversation. You scan your items at self-checkout and leave. I miss my grandmother spending 20 minutes talking to the vegetable seller about his daughter's wedding while negotiating tomatoes down by 10 rupees. The transaction was never just about vegetables. It was about community. I miss the way people drop by unannounced. In India, if you were in the neighborhood, you just stopped in. No text message warning. You showed up at the door and someone would immediately put chai on the stove. Here, I schedule coffee with friends 3 weeks in advance. We pick a time, confirm it twice, and send a message when we are 5 minutes away. It is not the same as my aunt appearing at 7 in the evening with biryani she made too much of. The thing I miss most, though, is chai, not the tea itself. I can make tea here. I have the right masala, ordered from an Indian grocery store in New Jersey. I have the same brand of tea leaves my mother used. I follow her recipe exactly, but it doesn't taste the same. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe it was the water, different mineral content, or the milk, different cows, different processing. Or maybe I was forgetting some small step, some technique my mother used that I never paid attention to because I assumed she'd always be there to make it for me. But I finally understand why it doesn't taste the same. In India, chai wasn't just about the drink, it was about the moment. It was my grandfather making it every single morning, the same way for 40 years. Even when his hands started shaking, he still insisted on making the morning chai. It was sitting on the veranda in the evening with my cousins, talking about nothing important while the sun went down. It was what my mother made when I came home from school, or when I was upset, or when there was good news, or just a regular Tuesday afternoon. Here, I make chai in my apartment alone, and it's good chai. The spices are right, the sweetness is right, but it's missing all those people. It's missing that context, that history. It's just tea in a cup, and that's not what chai is supposed to be. I miss the festivals. Diwali in America exists, but it's something I observe rather than something I'm inside of. Back home, Diwali wasn't one day, it was weeks of preparation. My mother cleaning the entire house like royalty was visiting. My father stringing up lights and patterns that somehow always looked perfect. The whole street glowing. The smell of homemade sweets my grandmother started making a week in advance. The sound of firecrackers I pretended not to be scared of. Here, I light a diya in my apartment. I make some sweets if I have time after work. I video call my family in India and watch them celebrate from thousands of miles away. It's something, but it's not the same as being surrounded by it, as being part of something bigger than yourself. I miss the noise of my family home. I live alone now, and I chose that, and mostly I like it. But sometimes the silence is too much. In India, our house was never quiet. Someone was always cooking or watching television too loud or laughing in the next room. There was always movement, always life, always someone around. Now I come home to my apartment, and it is exactly as I left it. Nothing has moved. Nobody has made a mess in the kitchen. It is peaceful. And sometimes that peace feels like loneliness. I miss the language. I speak English fluently. I have spoken it my whole life. But there are things that only exist in Hindi. Jokes that do not translate. Emotions that require a specific word I cannot say in English. When I'm talking to people here, I sometimes feel like I'm speaking with only half of my vocabulary available. I miss seeing faces that look like mine everywhere. I miss not thinking about my ethnicity when I walk into a room. I miss not being the person who has to explain traditions or represent an entire culture in casual conversations. I miss just being one person in a sea of people who share my context. But here's what I've realized after 3 years. I miss these things, and that longing doesn't go away. I'm also building something new here. I'm learning to make chai that tastes different but is still mine. I'm finding the markets where they stock the spices I need. I'm connecting with people who understand this specific kind of homesickness. And sometimes on certain rainy days when the weather is just right, the rain sounds a little bit like monsoon rain. For a moment, I'm home again. Not the home I left behind, but the home I'm carrying with me. That's the thing about missing something. It doesn't mean you've lost it completely. It means you loved it enough for the absence to matter. Maybe that longing is proof that I came from somewhere real, somewhere that shaped me, somewhere that still lives in the way I make tea and the way I listen to rain. I still haven't heard a pressure cooker whistle in 3 years, but I remember exactly what it sounds like, and that memory is something I get to keep.